One thing that every pilot does differently is their flight bag. So today I'm going to show you what I carry in mine, and I'm going to explain why I carry what I do. Alright, let's get started. I'm Josh, a pilot and aviation enthusiast exploring the world one flight at a time with a camera in hand. Buckle up as we embark on this adventure. Welcome to JT Aviation. Alright, it's the new year, and with the new year, I wanted to bring a little bit of change. So this year, you're going to notice that the channel has some new logos, some new branding, and this year, I have a goal. I want to record and upload one video per month, and then upload shorts whenever I have the time. This way, I get a little bit more consistent with my uploads, and I keep bringing you guys content that you guys want to watch. Now, with that being said, normally I upload a bunch of plane spotting and travel stuff, but this year, I wanted to try and shy away from that a little bit. Still doing those videos when I have the time, but this year to be a little bit more consistent and to move in the direction that I eventually want this channel to go, I wanted to bring you a little bit more content about my life as a pilot, what I do, and how I train. So in this video, I'm going to show you what's in my flight bag and why I carry everything that I do. Alright, so this is the flight bag that I carry. This is the Flight Gear Crosswind bag by Sporty's Aviation. I got this about a month ago for Christmas, and so far it has been an absolute game changer compared to the bag that I used to have. The storage is great, it's super durable. I've decorated it with some pins along the front here. Each one has a little bit of a significance to me in some way. My favorite one being this one right here. Shows the Tulsa airport, which is my hometown. So it's got a little bit of home on my bag, but I really love this bag. But now let's get into what's actually inside it. All right, so the first thing that I carry in my flight bag, and probably the most obvious item in there, is my headset. Personally, I use a pair of David Clark's. I find them to be really, really comfortable. The audio quality is awesome. And compared to my old headset that I was using, these are an absolute game changer. I picked these up used. I got them from a guy here at the airport who was selling a lot of his old stuff. And so they were used, and the only thing that I've done since I bought them was I replaced the gel seal ear pads. That way they were fresh whenever I started using them. But so far, I've been using these for about 3 months, and they are absolutely awesome. I highly recommend these to anyone who's looking for a good headset. Unlike a lot of pilots who prefer to use pen and paper, I prefer technology, which is why I always carry my iPad with me. Personally, I use an iPad Air Gen 4. Some people prefer the iPad Mini or the iPad Pro. Personally, I like the Air because it fits in my hand a lot better. I am an Apple Pencil guy. I always write with my Apple Pencil. But just in case this were to fail, I always have pen and paper in my bag, ready to use at all times. Most of the time I've never had to use them, but you never know. It's always best to be prepared. Per the guidelines of where I do my training, here in the winter months, we're required to carry a jacket with us at all times throughout a flight. This is due to potential emergency procedures or any time that we might need a jacket when we may not normally have access to one. For example, if we have to make an off-field landing somewhere and we're having to wait for search and rescue to come and rescue us. We're always required to carry a jacket during those winter months. But this is why I also always carry a hat and gloves. You never know when you're gonna get stuck somewhere, and I've had plenty of mornings when I've been out pre-flighting the airplane and it's been really, really cold and I've wanted both of these items. So I always make sure that both of those are in my flight bag as well. All right, now this next item is something that actually people have questioned me for, but I always keep a spare pair of gardening gloves in my flight bag for the sole purpose of checking the fuel and checking the oil. There's been so many times where it's been windy or something where all that fuel and oil has just got all over my hands, and I prefer to not have dirty hands. So I picked these gardening gloves up from Walmart for about $5, and I call them my fuel and oil gloves. So I always keep those in my bag in a separate pocket from everything else. That way nothing's getting contaminated with fuel and oil. But these have saved my hands on a number of occasions when doing my pre-flight inspections. So if you don't carry a pair of gloves like these, I actually recommend it, especially to those new students who are learning how to do a pre-flight for the first time. Another thing that I like to carry is something that I'm surprised most people don't actually carry, and that is a simple set of earplugs. I have been on the ramp so many times where there's been engines going all over the place and it's just so loud. And so on those types of days, I prefer to put some earplugs in when I'm doing my pre-flight in order to protect my hearing. Remember, always protect your hearing. because you're going to go your entire career flying airplanes and you don't want to lose your hearing, which will cause you to lose your medical. So I always recommend a pair of these earplugs. I picked these up in a pack of 3, again at Walmart for super cheap. You'd be surprised on how much stuff you can get at Walmart that's actually helpful. So recommend a pair of these as well. Another thing that I like to carry that I'm actually required to carry are flashlights. We're only required to have one, which is this one. This one has red, green, and white light. We're required to carry this especially on night flights, but personally I like to carry this one as well. For a while the batteries died in this one and I still needed a flashlight, so I brought this one with me, which just has that white light. And then one year a friend of mine gave me a headlamp which has that red, white, and green light as well. Personally, the batteries are actually dead in this one. I've been meaning to replace them, but I always like to have multiple sets on me just in case one of them were to die or get broken or something like that. So I always like to have backups with me. I carry way too many pens. Personally, in my flight bag right now, I have like 9 of them. This pack isn't even open yet. This is the pen I primarily use. It's just a Pilot G2 pen. This is what I always sign my logbook with, fill out pre-flight stuff with. So this is my go-to, but you never know when someone else is going to need a pen, which is why I always carry extras, because I've had so many people come up and be like, hey, do you have a pen I can borrow? Yep, of course I do. Here, just make sure I get that back whenever you're done. So I always keep pens with me. Like I said, I always keep pen and paper in here just in case my iPad were to die. But again, pens are a hot commodity around pilots. You never know when you're going to need them. Now, this might seem like a bit of an obvious one, but dry erase markers, especially in flight training. For me, whenever I'm in a check ride or a ground lesson and somebody's asking me a question, for me it helps to write down the details of that question. That way I can format a better answer. And it also just helps for me to write down stuff when I'm actively answering a question, such as acronyms. Once I'm done with my commercial training though, I do actually plan on starting my flight instructor training and eventually working as a flight instructor. So these will definitely come in useful then as well. But I highly recommend these if you're studying with friends, or if you are like me and you want to write down details during lessons, please pick up a pair of these. They're so nice. All right, for all you experienced pilots out there who may not necessarily need this next item, this is a sick bag. For me, I never really get much advance notice whenever I am going to be taking passengers on a flight, whether that's another student, an instructor, family member, friends. Usually it's a pretty last minute thing, and not everybody is used to riding in the back seat of a Cessna. So I make sure to have a sick bag on hand at all times, just in case I'm ever going to need it for a passenger. Now, I will admit, I have come close to using this sick bag myself. Long story short, instrument training, I was under the hood, it was a hot, turbulent day, and I was just getting really motion sick. But seriously, don't underestimate the use of a sick bag. We've all had to use it. You won't be the first, you're not going to be the last. And with all that being said, those are just the biggest items that I carry in my flight bag. I carry a few more things that are pretty obvious that I'm not going to bore you with, like my water bottle, my sunglasses, my logbook. I'm not going to bore you with all that stuff. But what I do want to know is, did you enjoy this new form of content? And if you did, please leave a comment. Let me know. I want your feedback, because if you enjoy this, I'm going to continue doing it. If you didn't enjoy it, probably not going to do something like this again. But I also want to know, what is the most unusual thing that you carry in your flight bag, and why do you carry it? But with that being said, here's to blue skies, here's to tailwinds, and I will see you all on the next adventure.